All right, my name's Stuart Mears. About 3 years ago almost, I set out on a mission. That mission was to win Florida House District 86 in a district that seemed impossible. I've been told by others to switch parties just to make it happen. Not going to happen. I've been told it's undoable. I think it's very doable. The tides are turning, people are getting fed up, and this year I'm back. So, that being said, I first want to start off by complimenting and thanking all the candidates who are here tonight for committing themselves, their times, their families. That's an important step. But none of us can do this without you, without your friends, without your family, and your support on all levels. Financially, knocking on doors, waving signs, at the polls. So please, dedicate yourselves this year, 1 year, and we can pull this off together to make Florida and our community a better place to live for many years to come. That being said, a little bit about me. I'm born and raised in Palm Beach County. My children represent a fourth generation here. I grew up in the restaurant business, so...
I went to high school with your brother.
True. I like to say that I've been serving my community since I was a little boy. Started off washing dishes and making pizzas at the Sportsman's Inn on Military Trail.
Oh my God.
For those of you that have been here, you would know it. I grew up there with my brothers and sisters and my father, missing many of sports and many activities, helping the family business work. Later, after graduating from Lake Worth Community High School, I served in the military. United States Army Infantry, mostly overseas. I finished up at Fort Benning, and then I got out, went to college. And after a short stint at Nova Law School, came home, my wife said, hey, we're pregnant. So that $100,000 investment became a different goal. Ultimately, my law professor said, what would you do if you weren't here? I said, I'd work with little kids. My wife's a teacher, that sounds like fun. So that's what I did. I set out, I went back to school, got some education credits, ultimately earned a master's degree in educational leadership along the way. Currently I serve as an assistant principal at the Adult Education Center in West Palm Beach. We work with adults who come from abroad legally and they want to learn the language. We deal with adults who want to go that non-traditional route of getting a GED diploma and getting a new or fresh start in life. So, therefore, I've been serving my community for many years, and now I'm looking to serve my community in Tallahassee. There's three things I'd like to focus on in Tallahassee. When I get there, respect, number one. Our community, this legislators that currently represent us, they're not very respectful of all Floridians or community. You know, they're after special interest or this group or that group. At the end of the day, we're all Floridians. It needs to make sense for everybody, okay? The next piece is responsibility. Advocating for legislation, voting for legislation, sponsoring legislation that doesn't apply to me as the legislator doesn't make sense. It has to make sense for the people who put us in office, for the people who work every day to support this great state. And last but not least is resources. Allocating resources the right way. Needless to say, I think our governor is doing a good job in trying to reduce taxes and trying to give opportunities for businesses to come here and grow and flourish, similar to the one that I grew up in. Less regulation, less taxes. So let's use those resources appropriately. Put them in the hands of the working people. Put them in the hands of small businesses so that we can raise our kids and not work 2 and 3 jobs just to be in business. Last but not least, common sense. Now, as an educator, I have 3 young kids, 7, 9, and 11. Common Core is not common sense. It's tough. Now, some would say Common Core was a good idea. It was a practical idea to try to administer an education to all, from all walks, from all states, so that if I moved from California to Florida, there was a common element that a kid could just sit in class, pick up where they left off. That's not how it worked out. We reinvented learning. Okay? My kids come home, and I joke with my wife, she'd probably be mad at me if she were here, but nonetheless. They come home with some of the math problems. And I get urgent phone calls at work. Stuart, help me through this. And they'll text me a picture of the math problem. How do you figure this out? Now, I am mathematically inclined, so normally I can figure it out. But at the same time, sometimes it stumps me what they're teaching these kids. They're over-testing them. The anxiety levels are going through the roof. Not the love for learning, not engaging our kids to want to continue education, go on to college, be productive citizens. I'm fearful that Common Core will drive many of our kids outside of the education world and into something else. So, that being said, that's what I'm all about. When I get to Tallahassee, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a voice for District 86 and all Floridians. And with your support, I know I can do it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so last time I ran against Mark Pafford. If anybody knows Mark, he's the Democrat minority leader in Tallahassee. He's been in Tallahassee a very long time. Mark's currently fighting for term limits to be extended because, well, Floridians have already told the legislature several times we don't want that. But hey, so Mark's going to fight for it. Mark's also fighting for black bears. $50 million, I think, is the number he's looking for to protect their environment. I would challenge Mr. Pafford. Fight for $50 million for those of you who are paying taxes. Put it back in your pocket. Not to say black bears aren't important, but $50 million? Really? So, this time I'm going up against Matt Wilhite, all right, Laurel Bennett. She's challenged me in a primary, and I'm the first to welcome Laurel to the race. One of us has to take this from Mr. Wilhite and his opponent. And with your help, one of us are going to take this. So,
and his opponent is Tinu Pena.
I can never pronounce her name, so nonetheless.
Yeah, she ran against me.
So, nonetheless, I know that we can pull this off. I think Wellington has heard enough from Mr. Wilhite. I think that works to our advantage, whomever makes the ticket. And once again, with your help, we greatly appreciate all that you do and will do for our campaigns. Thank you. I would hope so. I would tell you last time RPOF did not step in and help anybody. There's a variety of reasons that I suspect are behind that. One being that it was the minority leader that I challenged. Of course, nobody's come out and said that in official capacity, but many people have said, hey, Stuart, that's a no-no. You shouldn't do that.
Pretty well.
40.22% of the vote. Okay? The way I see it is, and that's a great point. How did I do that? I personally knocked on 10,000 doors. Okay? Not with people walking with me. Certainly there were people with me. But I spent my evenings, my weekends, any waking moment that I had during campaign season. Of course, I took off from my job. I'm also a real estate broker. I didn't practice real estate. And for 6 months, I pretty much walked and waved and handshook and you name it. 10,000 doors. Not to mention the doors that friends and families went out and knocked on as well. It was a huge impact. People came out. I did not expect the gratitude that people showed me. I didn't expect that, well, I did expect more doors to get slammed in my face. It didn't. One person, ironically, was a teacher, a registered Republican. She was mad at Governor Scott. I tried to explain I'm not him. We all have to pay into our pension to save jobs because, hey, at the end of the day, I'd rather pay a little bit more than see my colleagues lose their job. She wasn't hearing it, slammed the door. So, nonetheless, I'm back. Got a lot of work to do. 40.22% is good, but it's not good enough. Thank you. Any questions from anybody? Yes, ma'am.
What area does your District 86 cover now? They changed the maps, didn't they?
Map not for State House, but it is Wellington, Royal Palm, a smidge of Green Acres, West Palm, or what I refer to as the Okeechobee Corridor, which includes Century 21. Century. So, a long time ago I worked for Century 21. Century Village. Loxahatchee Groves, Royal Palm, that's about it. Okay? Any other questions? Comments? You all have a card. That is my personal cell phone. If you have a question, you want me to come by, you want to talk, call me. Okay? I don't hide behind an answer machine. It's not a burner phone. I'll be there 10 years from now. That's what my business is built on. I'm happy to take your questions and spend time speaking with you.
And he signed the deed for my house as a witness. When I bought my property, he signed it as a witness. And I'm like looking at it later, I go, look, Stuart signed this.
And my next step is to be there when you're signed into office as the next mayor of Wellington. Right? Thank you all. Have a great night.